Welcome back to UPR Fight Talk podcast. My name is Anton Pinto, and join me today is
Denis, the Bosnian menace. Watch it, freaks.
And I am Aaron Siri-Sompan, but who cares about that when you've got the Bosnian menace on the show, right?
Well, great to have you on the show.
Thank you
Dennis,
for having me.
I know you're very busy with training, and we're going to dive into it right away because you have probably one of the biggest fight of your career and the talk of the town. I want to say right now, you're fighting rodtang Chitmungun very, very soon.
Yes. Yeah, it will be June 8th, Thailand time, June 7th in the West. So, yeah, man, I've been here since late February. I had a fight I fought Jacob Smith in April. It was actually my birthday that day. I became old that day, and we still whooped that boy. So, yeah, so, and then right after the fight, they offered me rodtang. After I called them out, they're like, okay, you really want to fight him? We're going to set it up.
Well, it wasn't that fight that you called him out, right? You called him out previously to that.
I call him out. I've been calling him out since May of 2020. Or no,
So
2022.
4 years.
2022.
4 years
No,
calling out.
sorry, 2 years.
2 years.
2022.
Okay.
So my first fight was in May 2022. And that was like I said, I came to this league only for rodtang because, I've been, during pandemic, I was at home in Canada, sitting around watching fights, and the only shows that were on at the time was UFC and One Championship, and then rodtang really caught my eye, and I'm like, man, this is a guy I want to fight. He's very, very, very exciting fighter, and
Right.
And I feel like
Is it though? Is it because he's exciting, or are you going in for the money?
Nah, man. You know what, bro? Come on, man. You know,
Really? No,
I signed up.
Be honest, because we know, we're assuming this could be one of your biggest paydays.
Brother, I've been fighting for 20 years. I never made no money, no big money. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not like I'm here
do you
fighting
not
for
think that
money.
you deserve?
Nah, bro. I
No?
fight because I love it, man. I enjoy what I do. And look, the money is a bonus, of course.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody wants to make money, but I'm not doing it for the money. to be
What are
honest.
you doing it for?
Because it's what I love, man. I like exciting fights. I'm a fighter. It's in my blood, and my blood's boiling just talking about it. So that's it, man. It's the money is nice. Of course, everybody wants to make money. That's a bonus. That's a bonus to it, right? Look, we get to live our dreams, bro. This is like, this is a dream, bro. We get to live our dreams, and we get paid, But I don't make rodtang money, you know what I mean? I've never made a lot of money in fighting, you know what I mean? So I do it because I love it. It's a passion of mine. And I'm going to just ride it out until the wheels fall off, man.
This is kickboxing, correct?
Kickboxing rules, correct.
Was there any talk, because after you beat Jacob, which was Muay Thai, I think you went above him in the rankings to number 2. Mm-hmm. Was there any talk about him defending the belt in a Muay Thai bout and not kickboxing?
So there was no talk. Look, I just called him out. I didn't care I didn't even care if he's still the champ, Even if he's not the champ, I just want that fight because it's exciting for me. It's
Really?
exciting for me. Yeah, I don't, bro, the belts, then another bonus, right? But for me, man, I'm a fighter. I love to fight. Again, money and belts are bonus in the fight game. For me anyways. For me, I'm excited about the fight, and
So what is it about rodtang that is it just his style?
it's the hype. I think it's the hype, the style. He comes forward. He likes to throw, and
And you think you
he
can
does
meet him?
these things,
Yeah.
And
So is there a part of you that actually respects the fact that he does that style? Because it is very similar to the way that you fight as well.
We were talking about it earlier. Everybody keeps talking about how, like, the negative things that I have to say about rodtang. You know what I mean? Rodtang is one of my favorite fighters, bro. I love watching him. It's exciting, and this is the reason why I'm so jacked up for this to fight him, because I feel like stylistically, as long as I'm in top shape, it'll be a great matchup. I think it'll be the matchup of the year.
How's this fight gonna go? Like, how do you visualize this fight? How do you picture this fight going?
Well, it's kickboxing. We're gonna go in there and I'm gonna kickbox with him. You know what I mean?
What does that mean, though?
At the end of the day, I see myself winning. I'm gonna go in there and every time. Look, when I go in with a game plan, I had a game plan for Yodlek Pet. I stuck to it too long, and I messed up. Not doing that. Every time I go in with a game plan.
What was that game plan? Just for the people who, because I remember that fight, and was it you were dropped 3 times, or they had to? It was
like so the game plan. My coach, the guys who I was training with at the time, the game plan was not to kick with him, just box with him. Okay, so I think if you watch the fight, you don't see me kicking a lot. I was just trying to find the shots, but it just wasn't happening for me because I felt like I needed to kick to set up the hands, or throw the hand to kick and then back to the hands. Right. If I'm just throwing hands, you see that coming. It's easy to time. If you have good timing, Yudlipet is a master at this craft, right? So, and I feel like he just outperformed me because I had a big game plan. And every time after that, I fought. The last 2 fights, I didn't go in with a game plan.
So you believe that because you had one bad game plan, instead of going into the fight with a better game plan, you choose to not have a game plan?
Yeah, I choose not to have a game plan because I figure my opponent out inside the ring.
Okay.
I feel him out.
I guess that's a game plan.
That's
using your
the game
experience,
plan.
right?
Use the experience and then and just fight, man. Like we said, we're gonna kickbox, right? So we're gonna fight. It's gonna.
I kind of feel like you're saying this because you also might, which I understand, but might not want to give away your game plan for real time. So let me ask you this way then: how do you think he will? What do you think he will do coming into this fight? What do you believe will be his game plan?
I think that Rodtang will come forward and try to drain me.
Okay.
As he's seen my last performance, right? I got gassed out. So I think he's gonna maybe come forward and try to drain me, gas me out, and then try to finish the fight that way.
Do you believe, like, as a fighter, this is what most fighters do? Because you're sort of saying that he saw perhaps one mistake of yours in your previous side, in your previous side. Therefore, you believe that he's going to do exactly what your opponent did with you because you did a mistake, and not think that you'll probably work on your mistake. So that seems like it's just a one-dimension game plan, really.
Yeah. Well, look. I don't know if you guys seen me kickboxing, Muay Thai, 2 different sports.
Right.
Muay Thai, very calm. You gotta stay in the pocket and kind of, pick your shots and try to pick them apart. Kickboxing is a lot different because there's no clinch, there's no elbows, and a lot of moving, right? A lot of angles, boxing, kicks, hand to foot, foot to hand, head movement, angles, and stuff like that. So I feel like I bring a different element this time because it is kickboxing. I know Rodtang's had kickboxing fights, but I just feel like nobody's hit him the way I'm gonna hit him too, right? So that might even throw off his game plan. Right?
You've traveled, you've fought every style, right? MMA, kickboxing, Muay Thai. Do you have a favorite? Is there anything that you specifically think I actually prefer this sport? Because, and add on to that, the fact that one championship is Muay Thai with the 4-ounce gloves as well.
Well, I like to strike. I'm not a great ground fighter.
Yeah.
I'm a great striker.
But between kickboxing and Muay Thai, do you have a preference?
My preference would be kickboxing because I'm just not at as high level in Muay Thai as a lot of the Thais because I don't get to. Well, like I grew up in Canada and we don't have a lot of good clinchers.
Yeah, right? That's fair.
Right. So I think for that reason that I think that kickboxing is much better for me. I would prefer kickboxing because that's more of my style. I haven't really, like I said, right. I don't have a good clinch and right. And obviously,
so there's no clinch in one anyway.
Yeah, in one is not really. Well, probably the biggest difference in one would have to be the gloves, right? Because
I love the small gloves. I love the small gloves.
This time will be with the big gloves because it is kickboxing. Do you think that's actually not in your favor? The fact that you're not fighting with small gloves.
It doesn't matter. I've knocked out Pornsanae in big gloves. Pornsanae is one of the best at that time too, 2014, 2015. So I put his lights out. So you never know, man. Look, all I know is if I land a clean shot, I don't care if you're 205 pounds, because I've put those guys down too in sparring before. So as long as the shot lands clean, doesn't matter. They're gonna go out.
When it comes down to kickboxing, and now that you're talking about hands, it comes down to punches. How would you rate your hands comparing to rodtang?
Rodtang's got good hands. He's a good boxer.
He does indeed.
I think I have better hands, and I think I'm faster and I hit harder. I'm much faster. I know I'm faster than him, and I hit harder. He's probably more technical than me, but with boxing, I think I have more power. I'm faster, and I think I have better hands than him. That's my thought.
I want to go back at the moment that you actually got called for this fight, because you've been calling out rodtang for now 2 years, as you said. How was the moment when One Championship called you and they said, all right, you got your fight?
So it was right after Jacob Smith fight. We got back to the hotel and they were like, listen, if you want to fight rodtang in June, we can set that up, but it will be kickboxing rules. I looked at my coach, said, what do you think? He said, let's do it. I turned around, I'm like, let's do it.
How did you feel at the time?
Oh, I felt
probably
that
exhausted right after the Jacob Smith fight.
Definitely exhausted, but I felt great that I finally got the opportunity to.
That's what you wanted, right? You
I
said
did
it over and over. I like the camera on one. When it goes backstage, when the fighters are going backstage, and you continue to say it, right? Rodtang.
You gotta manifest, man. If you look, man, I believe in the power of the universe. Manifestation is a real thing, and I've been manifesting this before I even got signed. And I knew I was telling my boys, I'm like, I'm going to go to One Championship before I even got signed during the pandemic. I'm like, bro, I'm going to go and fight that guy. Watch me fight that guy.
Do you believe you generally believe it's manifesting that made that happen? Or it's the fact that you actually said it on camera that made the world hear about you and know about you that made that happen?
Could be both. But I think that manifesting, putting it out there, is definitely the first thing you got to do. Second thing, you got to work, prove yourself. You got to win fights.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, it's going to happen. Eventually, they're not going to be able to deny you.
Well, that's the thing. Me and Antoine, we did a podcast last week, and we're basically saying the same thing where, a lot of fighters, they probably underutilize social media a little bit. And when they've got a camera in front of their face, Antoine interviews fighters at RWS. Right. They don't say a lot.
They don't talk at all.
Yeah, so by just you mentioning the name rodtang, I mean, it automatically people starts putting that in their head. I wonder what would happen.
But a lot of people...
And One Championship jumped over it, all over it, so it works out well.
A lot of people called me crazy, though. They're like, bro, you'll never get that fight. A lot of doubts, a lot of, oh, you're not good enough. And that's okay. I might not be good enough, but we're going to see June 7th, buddy. We're going to see it.
Does it actually affect you, though? Because now you've been fighting through every single different era, right? You've been fighting before social media was a thing, fighting on TV, fighting without TV, and now fighting in the social media era where anybody, fight fans, non-fight fans, educated, non-educated to fight sports, will comment and give their opinions. Does it affect you at all or not?
No, it doesn't affect me at all, because I don't care what somebody else, what their opinion is of me. What I care about is what I think, right? I believe in myself, and I'm confident in myself. Well, I don't care less what other people think. That's why they're sitting there watching me doing what I do. You know what I mean? A lot of people are like...
I say, as long as they're tuning in, who cares?
Yeah,
right?
Tune in. Tune in and watch me get beat up. You know what I mean? If that's what's gonna happen, and it might happen, you never know, right? Who knows?
So going back, you were talking about the fact that you are called the Bosnia Menace, but you're from Canada, is that correct?
No, I'm from Bosnia, brother. I was born in Slovenia, and both of my parents are Bosnian. We were traveling back and forth. The Yugoslavian war started in 1990. And we went to Bosnia and got stuck there. Big war broke out. I was there for 5 years.
In Bosnia?
In Bosnia during the war. Wow. I came to Canada in 1997 as a refugee. We
Wow.
escaped. We escaped. We escaped
How
Bosnia.
old were you in 1997 when you?
97. I was 12 years old.
Damn, right. Wow.
So I came.
So
I
a tough start to life.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's. I actually started martial arts in a refugee camp. There was a guy teaching karate, just to kind of keep the kids occupied. We were playing soccer, and if we weren't playing soccer, a lot of time we were playing soccer football. You guys call it. We call it football too. Freaking Canada calls it soccer. Okay. So, anyways, we were playing football in the minefields as kids, and we didn't even know until one day there was a horse running by, and we're like, "Well, look at this freaking horse," and then just like the grenade, the landmine exploded, and it was maybe like 50 meters, 75 meters away from us, and the thing exploded. We kind of looked, what the hell? The one leg went. The horse was still alive, kind of laying on the floor. And we all ran into to our camp to tell the parents what happened. We weren't allowed to go back in those fields to play football again. So and then there was a guy that started teaching karate. This was in the Bosnian refugee camp. Bosnian refugee camp in Croatia. This was in as we escaped Bosnia, we got into Croatia, and then the army stopped us, and they're like, "You can't go any further."
Yeah, that sounds like a movie, man.
Yeah, they were like, and we were like, "Well, we can't go back." And this is 30,000 people. Oh. So it was like a whole city that just kind of escaped from there, and then the Croatian army stopped us, saying you can't go any further. There was 2 times that this happened. We were in refugee camp twice, because after the first time we went back into our city, again the fighting started. We had to escape again. Then the second time, when we escaped to this refugee camp, there was a guy who was smuggling people through the borders into other countries. My father has a lot of family all over Europe, right? So we had some family that was in Slovenia that kind of gave this guy money to smuggle us across the border into Slovenia, where I was born, right? So the way they smuggled us was he would basically drop us off just before the border, and we will run into the woods, and then we will go through the woods around the border, and then meet him on the other side, right? So, but you got dogs chasing you. So when the dogs started when the police started chasing us with the dogs, or the soldiers, we had to go really deep in the woods, because the deeper you go, they're afraid to go deep in the woods. They don't know what's going on, right? It's a war zone. So we went super deep, and then we kind of hid from them under there was a tree, and there was like a little, the roots when they grow over, and there was like a little hole. My dad dug it out and kind of stuffed us in there and covered us with leaves. When they were walking around with flashlights, lucky they didn't see us. They ran off. They went back to wherever they came from, and then
what would have happened if they did catch you? Any idea?
I don't know what would happen, because we never really.
So how did you actually end up in Canada?
So then when we went in Slovenia, I started going to school, right? Like I was in grade 4 at the time, right? I went to school for 6 months, and then they told me that you can't go to school here anymore. Why? Because you're not a citizen. But I'm like, I'm born in this country. They're like, well, you gotta go get your birth certificate. Okay. So when we went into the embassy and get our birth certificate, the birth certificate came back because it was Yugoslavia, remember? So I was a Yugoslavian citizen. Right. Because all these countries, Slovenia, Bosnia, Croatia, Serbia, Montenegro, all those countries was Yugoslavia. After the president died, everybody just kind of went their own way. The war started. Everybody tried to fight for land and this and that. So, so then when I got my my birth certificate, it was, when it said citizenship, it was just a bunch of dots. So it didn't say I was a citizen of Slovenia. So I was a citizen of nothing. Okay. Right? Then my father started looking for ways out. My father is my hero, by the way, man. Without him,
like most people, I want to say.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, well, this is another level, right?
Yeah,
hiding you under trees.
There's more stories about my father. Like my father went missing in action, and You know, I found him in a hospital after I got hit with a rock playing. That's a whole nother story. But
what I was part two already, right?
Look, man, we're gonna come back and we're gonna have a second podcast. But so when we got. So my father started looking for ways out. So first we applied an application to go to America. They wouldn't accept us to go to America because my father was in a war, right? At that same time, Canada was accepting a lot of people coming in, right? And my mother's brothers were in Canada. So when we filled out paperwork to go to Canada, they're like, do you have any family members there? We're like, yeah, we have an uncle. My mother's two brothers are there. Stuff like that, and then so then they accepted us to go to Canada. So in August of 28th of August, 1997, we came to Canada, Regina, Saskatchewan. It was like the worst place in the world.
How old were you back then?
12 years old. I was
12 years old. You're arriving in a new country.
Yes.
You didn't speak any English.
I actually figured out I could speak English on the airplane. Not like obviously not well, but like. So you know when you're on the airplane, they give you sheets to fill out before you land, right? And I'm like, we've never been on an airplane before, you know? And I'm like, and my dad's like, what is this? I'm like, I don't know, right? He's like, ask that guy beside you. So I'm like, how am I gonna ask this guy? I'm just asking. So I kind of like, hey, what is this? You know?
I don't
know.
And
I'm like, and then he was like, oh, you know, it's just the thing you fill out. And he helped me fill it out, and then I was like, Dad, I just spoke English to that guy, right? But I learned more from like watching TV and stuff like that, right? Yeah.
So you landed in Canada. You spoke a little bit of English. Mm-hmm. How did you get into martial arts then? I mean, like going back to the refugee camp.
So let's go back to the refugee camp.
Because I want to talk about the guy who was teaching karate. He was just doing that to keep the kids,
keep us occupied, you know, keep us out of trouble.
So
because
you've got memories of that guy, and
oh yeah.
He made a big impact.
I know his name and everything.
Yeah.
Ismet. I forgot his last name, but I know his first name, Ismet. So another reason why he started this thing for the kids was before that, we as kids, we used to play with these, I don't know what they're called in English, but in Bosnia we call it vitler. So it's like with like two shoelaces, and then you tie the knot in the middle, and you put a rock on it, and then you got this like a, and you wiggle it and you throw rocks at each other. So that's when I got hit with a rock, right? And I went to the hospital in Croatia, and this time my father was missing in action.
Okay.
So when I got to the hospital, we gave them my your name, first name, last name, DENIS PURIC. Oh, they're like, oh, we have somebody under that last name in this hospital. I'm like, who?
Damn.
They brought me there, and it's my dad laying in
How long
hospital.
since you'd seen your dad then?
Before that?
Yeah. Because you said you found him there, right?
Yeah, maybe like 10 months to a year between that time.
Holy shit,
man.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, going back to the fighting part though, then you moved to Canada.
So,
how'd you get into fighting?
So I started taekwondo before I came to Canada in Slovenia when I was in Slovenia. So when we escaped, when we got smuggled through the borders into Slovenia, I found another Bosnian guy who was teaching taekwondo. So then I signed up for taekwondo, and then I just found like I was really good at it. You know, I started competing, like doing tournaments and stuff.
Wow.
And like I just started, I lost my first tournament, and then my second tournament I won first place, third tournament I won and I just started racking them up. And I was like, man, I'm really good at this, you know. And then when we moved to Canada, I actually found a taekwondo school there. And I went back into taekwondo. I became a Canadian champion, national champion in taekwondo.
Wow.
I was national champion 10 years in a row after that.
Wow.
10 years in a row. I was winning every championship. So I was really good. Then we moved into a city called Hamilton, just outside of Toronto. And started hanging out with a bad crowd, you know? It wasn't like I was hanging out in a bad crowd, but it was all the refugees grew up in one area. So there was like Asian people from Cambodia, you had Vietnamese people from the Vietnam War, you had Cambodian from the Cambodian War, like Pol Pot killed off like
so all
millions
refugees in that place.
all refugees in one neighborhood. And the Bosnian people.
So
what do you think is gonna turn out to? So we grew up. kind of like people looking at us as like gangsters. You know what I mean?
Would you define yourself as a gangster back then?
I probably, if I never started fighting, I probably would be a gangster. I'd probably be in jail or locked up somewhere.
Wow.
You still in contact with those?
I am in contact with them because we've all changed now. We all have families and
all
like
grew
different.
Up, right?
All grew up. We have families. We have.
So you're saying you would have, which means that you stayed into the right path because of combat sport.
So even when I was doing combat sports, I was getting into a lot of trouble back home.
Like what?
Martial arts. Let's not get into it too
Maybe
deep.
off camera. Yeah?
All right, maybe off camera we can talk about it. But look, man, it's just your regular
life, bro.
street life, man.
I don't think anyone would criticize the fact that you listen to your
Yeah.
early life.
And
you
look
know?
at where
You
you
know,
are now.
I'm not proud of a lot of things that I've done in my life. Not proud, but that's something that make you, the things you go through as a child and throughout your life is what makes you who you are at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And I think, a lot of people know me, and a lot of people will tell you that I'm not a bad guy. I hope they would say that. Anyways, but
Well, you hope
I don't.
rodtang will say that in a couple of weeks, maybe.
Me and rodtang will have another conversation, okay? And that will be fist
Off-topic,
talk.
so obviously I'm a football fan. There's a footballer called Nemanja Vidic, and they used to say to him, "Are you specifically scared of this centre forward?" He was a defender, and he would always say the same thing. It's like where I grew up in Serbia, I would have like guns shoved in my face. I'm not afraid of anyone. I'm like, do you feel like the same thing, that you've been through so much in your life that you don't really get that scared about fighting one-on-one? Does it excite you more than it does scare you, or do you still get those nerves?
Okay, so before, when I used to start, remember, I was always good at martial arts. I was always good in combat sports. I actually I met my Muay Thai kickboxing coach in 2002. That's when I started changing to Muay Thai kickboxing. But sorry, back to your question. Besides growing up in a war-torn, or coming from a war-torn country, you got to realize where I grew up. I grew up in a bad neighborhood with around a lot of bad people and gangsters and guns, drugs, you name it, right? Back in those days when I used to get into fights, I would get intimidated. Not gonna lie, would get intimidated. I get scared every time, but I bite down, and let's.
But what about fighting on the ring, though?
In the ring is
from being
Well,
with
I
your.
think
it's different.
What it's saying is, on the street, anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
Anything can and usually does happen. Whereas in the ring, it's more controlled.
It's more controlled, but still, you get those nerves. You get nerves all the time. You get nervous. Not really afraid of the person in front of me. My biggest fear is how I'm gonna perform in front of this crowd. Like, what my performance is gonna be like. That's my fear.
Is it a fear? Is it a fear of not performing?
Not performing well. That's my biggest fear, is going out there and the crowd being disappointed.
I think
in my
even Nate
performance.
Diaz said that he was more afraid of like being embarrassing himself. Before he goes out the fight.
Though.
Not specifically the opponent.
Yeah.
I agree. It's interesting though, because we hear that a lot, that you can be as gangster as you want outside of the ring, but once you actually do get into that ring, doesn't matter if you've been through war, through whatever things you've been through your life, but when you're inside that ring, it's just a one-on-one type of fight. It's just you and the other guy, and sometimes it can bring a lot of different emotions into that.
For sure. And again, you got cameras, you got the crowd. Sometimes you're fighting in front of 15, 20,000 people,
Right.
And you don't want to disappoint anybody, That I feel like that's my biggest fear.
What's the pressure for you going into this fight? You've been, asking for this fight for years. Now you've got it. Again, like I said earlier, probably the biggest fight of your career. One of the biggest fight of your career.
The biggest.
What's the amount of...
it's the biggest.
The biggest.
It's
This
the
is
biggest.
definitely
the biggest.
the biggest fight. Besides fighting like Rungravi in K1, you know, that was a pretty big one.
Yeah, but
you know
this
what I
is
mean?
different type of pressure.
Different
now.
type of pressure because, you know,
different era
rodtang is a
now as
king.
Yeah,
well.
different era as
Yeah.
well. You're right.
You know?
So what's the pressure going into this fight for you?
My biggest fear again is performance, right? This is why I hired a strength and conditioning coach, Sean Colbs. Shout out Sean Colbs, man. Number one, the best strength and conditioning coach. He's not just a conditioning coach. He's like a
Mental coach as well?
mental conditioning, nutritionist.
Oh, wow.
Like tells me how to eat, when to eat, what time. This like
Right.
it's just everything has just been so good this camp around. And this is the reason why I had to hire a guy like that, because I'm going against the king, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I just want to make sure I go in there in the best shape possible and put on a performance of my life. You know
Are
what I
you?
mean?
Are you in the best shape that you could be to fight him?
I feel like I am. I feel like we're, you know, like definitely going to be in a lot better shape than I was last fight.
Okay.
That's for damn sure.
What was the issue last fight then?
Last fight, I tried a different method of weight cutting, and it just didn't work for me. I wasn't sleeping that whole fight week. Like I arrived there on a Tuesday. Tuesday night, my coach arrived, so I waited for him till like midnight. You know, we didn't get to sleep probably till like 2 or 3 in the morning. Okay, that was the Tuesday night. Wednesday night, cutting weight. I wasn't recovering properly after the weight cut. Right after training, I would go in my room and eat a yogurt instead of like having some meat or like a. Usually, I would do a carnivore.
The worst thing you could do as an athlete is not eating properly and not recovering.
It was the worst.
enough.
So what was happening is that because I was empty, I couldn't sleep.
Yeah, of
Tossing
course.
left and right. You know how it is.
Yeah, of course.
You probably went through this many times, especially like, you know, the night before the weigh-ins. You're super, and you're not sleeping all night. I know a lot of fighters would take like melatonins to go to sleep.
Oh yeah.
I know a guy would pop like
during
20.
even during fight camp as well. A lot of fighters, because of nerves, whatever, and then of course nutrition. A lot of fighters actually.
It wasn't the nerves. I feel like it was
just the physical.
I feel like it was. I was just empty. I had zero, like no food in me after the fight. So, I mean, after
how did that fly get into
I
my
don't know,
office?
man.
What the hell? There's a fly in
big
my
one,
office.
too.
How is the
It's a
fly
big one,
into
too.
my office? So to cut you off, like, what is going on right here?
Mate, it's a robot. It's a robot fly, and rodtang's listening in.
Yeah,
Don't
God
say
damn it. Anyway, so
I
you're
hope
saying
he's-
that you had you're in much better shape now and a much better
100%.
nutritionist than the previous fight, right?
Oh, 100%. And I actually just realized how important it is to have a proper conditioning coach. This freaking fly, I think I caught it.
No, it's on your head
shit.
now. We're actually gonna test your reflexes now with the fly.
It's ruining our podcast, man.
God damn, the fly.
Game and Mike.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were we talking about? Fucking fly.
Weight cut
Weight cut.
didn't go so well. You were saying that you're eating yogurt.
This time, yeah. So I just realized how important it is to have a strength and conditioning coach,
Right.
man.
Wait,
And
so
especially at this
this
age.
is the first time.
This is the first. I've never used no conditioning in my 20 years of fighting.
How old are you now?
moly.
40, man.
40. This
I
is the
just
first
turned-
time you. Wow.
Yeah, I'm
So
40.
do you feel like now that you have got a strength and conditioning coach? Oh, it's more than that, right? An all-round cut. Do you feel like you missed out?
I missed out on so
Yeah.
much. Now I gotta do another 20 years of fighting, man. Because like I just found that I can be a whole different beast, man.
It's interesting you say this now because that's leading to my next question. What happens for you after this fight? What happens if you win, first of all, and then, of course, the next question will be what happens if you lose? What happens
if I win? We going for, it's a kickboxing fight. So if I win, that means I'm ranked number 1 in kickboxing. I'm ranked number 2 in Muay Thai. The doors are open for both belts. Whoever is ready to go first, I'll be ready to go for that.
Do you feel like if that happens, should it be you calling out somebody, or should somebody call you out?
I mean,
because winning rodtang doesn't necessarily means that you'll be fighting for the belt. Like out of all,
I'll be calling
honestly,
them out. I'll be calling them out.
Oh,
I
wow.
think I would like to fight rodtang first in Muay Thai since
right.
since I've been on his ass for 2 years.
Okay.
Right? And then after that, we'll go the other way.
So
and
you're
fight.
saying if you beat rodtang this time, then you'll be asking for a rematch for his belt in Muay Thai, right?
Correct. Correct. And then after that, depending on how it goes, I will try and go for the kickboxing belt.
Right, because now there's loads
So-
of
so-
opportunities.
Depends on who has it.
The
Yeah.
next 3 fights for Denis Puric will be rodtang, Superlek.
Right. So you got that.
I hope
written
so.
down.
Man, you
There's,
better get that strength and conditioning guy on.
Takeru right now is huge in kickboxing, your weight as well. Is that a fight that you have on your mind or not?
Look, Takeru, if he comes from his knee injury 100% healthy, then definitely I would. If that's there for the taking, then sure. But to be honest, I don't want to fight somebody who is not 100% in shape, especially after having a broken 2 places, man.
Right,
He broke
yeah.
his Superlek broke his knee in 2 places. That's not an easy injury to come back from.
Yeah.
So
Because I was thinking the same thing, because they were talking about him coming back later this year, right? I was like,
I
it's a
don't
bit
think
premature to
so.
be talking about.
That's way too fast.
Yeah.
In my opinion, at least, I
Yeah.
think it's way too fast. It's probably going to take quite a few months to a year. I
at
mean,
least 2 years, man. Look, I have a friend. My friend is a UFC fighter. He used to fight in UFC, Claude Patrick. He had a small injury on his knee. Okay, I think he tore something. Never went to fight again. And he was like one of the best
Yeah.
fighters. He was actually undefeated in UFC.
Right.
He was 4-0 in UFC.
So, by your answer, it says that part of your plan is you versus Superlek. Tell me, how would that fight go?
That boy's dangerous, man. That boy's dangerous. I think I would just, he's a kicking machine, right? So what I would have to do is just close the distance, just rain some blows, just use obviously I would have to maybe kick a little bit with him to open the hands, but I would have to pressure him. I would have to come in close and use my hands a lot.
He's also being,
This is what I don't understand a little bit about the fact that you're not fighting for the belt, is because you beat Jacob Smith, like I said, who was ranked number 2. You jump over him into number 2 position. Number 1, Superlek, of course.
Right.
We know that he's already got a scheduled bout against
Yeah.
Haggerty later this year. Oh, he's fighting Kongtorani
he's
first
fighting
at 135.
Kongtorani first. Right.
And then he's fighting Haggerty. So I think it's not a shame, because you still get to fight rodtang, but it would have. I don't understand why it's not for the
Well,
belt.
I'll
Maybe
tell you
because I
don't get it. I don't really
guys
get it
what's
why.
going on, okay? You guys want to know what's going on?
Sure.
Remember Nick saying that there's going to be, he's going to have a mock-up fight before he fights rodtang.
Who?
I guess I'm the mock-up fight before he fights rodtang. I think they want, before he fights Takeru, sorry.
Yeah.
Before rodtang fights Takeru.
Ah.
So they wanted to have rodtang kind of have a mock-up fight before they basically get him ready for Takeru in September. So I'm that mock-up fight.
Wow. But then going into that direction, and first of all, I think it's great that you kind of acknowledge what the world is probably thinking right now, because the world is probably thinking that
Well,
you're
I think a lot of people have heard that rumor as well, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
But then going back to what Alan was saying is that if that's the case, why aren't you that mock-up fight for Superlek? Right? Because that's pretty much what it is for Superlek right now.
I think
before fighting
I
Haggerty.
think what Dennis is saying, though, is that they want to get rodtang in the ring and prep him for a kickboxing bout before he fights Takeru in a kickboxing bout.
Yeah, okay, apparently they wanted to set that fight up in September.
I don't think that fight is happening in September anyways.
For sure that's not going to happen.
So are
Well,
you...
it won't be if Dennis wins.
Right. Yeah.
No, you know what? If I win, right? When I win, I'll let Takeru. I'll let rodtang fight Takeru. Go ahead.
I don't think that'll be
I'm
the
just
case,
saying,
though.
if that's gonna happen, I'll let it happen. I don't care, right?
Right.
Again, I told this to many people that asked me the same question. Would you want to fight Takeru? I don't want to fight Takeru unless he's 100% healthy, ready to fight, and his knee is fully recovered 100%. Then we can go on about that talk.
What happens if you lose against rodtang?
Then it's back to work, man. Back to back to work.
That's a tough question.
It's a tough question. Like, I don't know. Like, you don't really know how to answer that. But I think
it does not even get into your mindset. I'm assuming, right?
At the end of the day, I'm not gonna lose. So that question.
You fought some tough fighters on one, right? Yodlek Pet, Tagir Kaliov, who you beat, right? Who's the one who went? I think he had a split decision over rodtang in kickboxing. You beat him.
Yeah.
And then he beat Yodlek Pet as well, right? So
and I beat
there,
him,
right?
yeah.
Some of the best.
And then knocked out. I beat Jacob Smith. I knocked out the Vietnamese guy who was supposed to kill me apparently.
Oh right, yeah.
But you guys forgot that I've fought Rungravi in the past, Rungravi Sasiprapa, in K1. You guys also have to remember that I knocked out one of the best fighters of that time. Pornsanae Sitmonchai,
who's now, where he at now?
No, he's out. I heard.
Is he?
I heard he's out.
What
you're gonna have to explain this.
Yeah,
I heard. Yeah, I know.
So do you actually know what happened to Pornsanae?
I heard a story. Now I don't know if that's a true story.
Okay, let me know what you heard. So Pornsanae was, just to do a quick recap to the viewers. Pornsanae was probably one of the biggest goddamn flies in my podcast show. So Pornsanae was probably one of the biggest name in Muay Thai at a certain time. One of the most aggressive fighter, crazy hands, crazy low kicks. Every single fight he would do would be just a crazy show.
There's a viral clip.
Right.
That's probably from early to mid 2000s of him and Pakorn.
Yeah, that was the fight of the year as well.
Yeah.
But that's how we fought every fight, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. But going back to that, so certain events happened to Pornsanae, which is why I'm asking you, do you know what happened to him?
So I heard that, there was, I guess he killed someone and went to jail. But then I heard he's out, that he's back out of jail. So that's what I heard. Another story behind it, I don't know if it's 100% sure. I guess something to do with his wife, somebody not paying money, and then he went to ask for money or something.
I think is that what you heard?
I pretty much heard the same thing in the snooker hall, right?
So I think what happened is that there was at some point, I think there was a little bit of a, not entirely sure, but I overheard that there was some part of some drug kind of issues, but then that on the side, that has been cleared by the cops in a certain way. But then there was the whole, shooting and all of that. So apparently at some point he would get hired to do certain jobs for some people, but one day went back home and found out that his wife had other guys. So apparently he went after those guys.
Oh.
So that's pretty much what happened. So overheard that. But the reason why I'm also saying that there was other stuff is because if you just put just saying that he took care of whoever his wife was cheating on, then that just kind of makes him, for a lot of people that can happen. Some people will understand, some people will not understand, but it wasn't just a part of the emotion of him just going after that guy. He was also kind of a gunner for certain people.
You're saying he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing. He's been hired to do certain jobs like this in the past as well, which is why he's been to jail a few times already. I don't know if he's still in jail or not right now. I can't confirm you that.
I heard that somebody told me that he was out.
Maybe we can get him on the podcast.
Yeah. We'll see. That's actually very interesting. I'll try to find out. Maybe you can tell he's part of the story. That might be wrong as well.
Another one of my favorite fighter. You were saying before, I would follow him. He was one of my favorite fighters. You know what I mean? Muay. When you watch Muay, you don't see Muay Thai like that.
Right.
From a guy like that.
Crazy. Yeah.
He was crazy.
And it's funny you say that because a lot of people say he was born too early. If he was in this era,
amazing.
Legend.
Yeah,
rodtang would have competition. That's for sure.
We said that about Anawat, right?
Yeah, Anawat,
Pornsanae,
these two guys, if they were in this era.
But speaking of that, Pakorn
is
now coming back to one championship to fight against Rafi Bowick.
What do you think about that? What do you think about that fight?
Well, I think it's a tough fight for Pakorn if he's been out the ring for so long.
He's been active though, hasn't he?
I'm not sure. I think he's been training Nadaka in Japan, but I don't know if he's been
as
in
a
the
trainer.
ring. But it's a whole different ball game, right? Getting in there with 4 rounds gloves, as you know. What do you think about that? Do you think it's good for the sport that these legends are now getting other opportunities to come back, or do you think that they should make way for the new generation. As someone who's experienced as you are, how do you see
Well,
it?
it all depends on how.
I'll tell you what though, just sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Like, so my friend runs Muay Thai results. So he'll put up the photo and he'll say,
Right.
like, Pakorn is taking, he'll put up the poster.
Yeah.
They like, the amount of people that liked that post, who followed it, and he said it was like, you know, Buakaw-esque almost. Like, so many
Really,
people
that's crazy.
love Pakorn, you know?
Man, the
Still-
guy's
he's
a
still-
legend.
Yeah,
bro.
he's still
Come
got
on.
that
These guys
name.
used to rule Lumpini, basically. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
but what do you think about that, though? What do you think about the fact that a legend like that is coming back to the sport to fight? Like, what's your take on that?
I feel as long as he's got it in him, all the best to him. Look at me, bro. I'm 40 years old, bro.
But
I'm
that's
still
different,
going.
though, because you didn't stop and went away
Yeah,
from
I
the
never
sport.
stopped. I never stopped. I stopped during the pandemic for those 3 years because I had
Yeah,
no
like
other
everybody
choice,
else,
right?
mhm.
But I don't think I can stop.
So you kind of agree that it's a good thing that
Yeah,
Pakorn is
man.
back?
Yeah, man.
So by definition, you agree with Mike Tyson fighting Jake Paul?
Why not? I hope he fucking smokes that stupid guy. You know?
What?
But you know what? Jake
wait,
Paul.
hold on. What?
No, but Jake Paul, you gotta give the guy props because he's bringing boxing back alive, bro.
Oh yeah.
If it
Is
wasn't
he?
for Jake Paul, that
Yes,
boxing
he
would
is.
100%
Of course he is.
100%.
Is he bringing the sport of boxing alive? Because I think there's boxing fans, but there's also Jake Paul fans, and the Jake Paul fans will tune in to see him play anything.
Doesn't matter,
It doesn't.
man.
Are they
Sport-
gonna like watch Jake Paul beat down a 6-year-old Mike Tyson? And think right now I'm gonna go and watch. You know,
Look, I think
Furyk versus-
it's a different topic though. If you're talking about like boxing fans, right? Boxing fans are boxing fans, which
but you
means
guys are
they
saying
will
that.
watch
But
boxing
you're
with
saying
or
it's
without
good
Jake
for the
Paul.
sport. I'm saying I don't know if it is or not because I
man,
don't know if
it's
it will
not-
bring more eyes to the sport. Are those kids gonna go and train boxing, or are they gonna go and make themselves big on social media first?
But if you're saying this, it's like comparing like, do you need the World Cup for football or not? I never watch football, but I watch the World Cup. You know what I mean? So it's good
Yeah.
for football because people who don't usually watch football watch the World Cup. So I think it's
You
good
watch
for
the
But
boxing.
you're probably watching because you support France, though, right?
But that's the same thing, though. I mean, like he's bringing new eyeballs to the sport. Therefore, even if it's just 1% of the people who watched his fight that are gonna follow the sport after that, then it's already growing.
I don't know.
Be honest. Do you watch boxing?
Now and
Are you
again,
gonna watch Jake Paul versus Tyson?
Probably.
Exactly. That's
But
my
that's
answer.
because of Tyson, not because of Jake Paul, though.
100%
Because I
it's
love
because
yeah.
of both of them. It's because of
Did
both.
you watch-
Well, he's only in the ring
Did
because
you
of Jake
watch
Paul. but-
Tyson Fury against
Usyk? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I watched.
not Tyson Fury, the other Fury against Jake Paul.
Tommy Fury.
Yeah, Tommy
No,
Fury.
I did not.
Didn't watch that fight?
No,
I did.
interest. No.
I did.
I did.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great fight as
Yeah,
well.
it was.
No interest.
And you can't shit on Jake Paul because the guy can box.
I'm not shitting on
He's
him.
not
like,
a- he's not a
props to
bad
him. I don't
boxer.
hate him.
Right.
I think a lot of people, like, if we're talking about that fight, talking about, oh, Jake Paul, how dare he take that fight against Tyson? It's
Right.
disgusting. He's a terrible human being. Shut up.
It's
Like,
for both
yeah.
of them.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
why don't you go and tell Tyson not to take the fight?
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know, and if you're going to put it that way, like,
Yeah.
tell
Yeah.
Tyson. Tyson doesn't need the money anymore. Back
Oh,
in the
yeah.
day, I think he was broke for a little bit.
Yeah.
But he doesn't need that money anymore.
Yeah.
So go and tell Tyson not to fight.
Oh,
Don't
for
tell
sure.
Jake Paul. You know,
Do you
know
think-
Jake Paul's motivation.
Do you think this fight is actually going to be a real fight, though? You generally believe because it
Yeah.
seems like they're putting on an act. To me, it seems like they're putting on an act. It doesn't actually feel
an
like
act.
it's
It's an
going
act.
to
I
be a
feel like
real
it's
but
fight.
an
when they get in there, though, you think you're going to control
I don't
either of
know.
those two to
I don't
play
know.
WWE
So
boxing?
there's rules. There's different rules. They're saying it's pro rules, but if you look at the
It's not pro
rule
rules.
set, it's not pro rule set. But
Yeah.
they're saying it's pro rule set, right? But they're using bigger gloves.
Yeah,
I think they're using 16 ounce.
yeah, they are.
What the hell? It's a sparring match.
Yeah. Well, to be honest,
So
though,
it's
I still
glorified
think
sparring,
I still think
Tyson can knock him out. I think he can still knock him out with
Mike
the big
Tyson
glove.
is going to get knocked out by Jake
think
Paul,
so?
man. 100%.
It's more likely that Jake Paul knocks out Tyson the other way around.
Yeah, Jake Paul is going to knock out Mike
I don't
Tyson.
know, man. I
man.
can't go against my boy Tyson, man.
I know.
just can't.
that
I
you're
just
thinking
can't.
with your heart now.
I know. I
Right,
just
come on,
can't.
bro.
I just can't. I can't. I'm too
Do you
loyal.
actually believe that Mike Tyson
I just
could beat
hope
Jake
he
Paul?
does, bro. I don't know if I believe it. I just can't. I don't want to see him fall.
And this is also why a lot of people are going to tune in, even if they don't generally believe that Mike Tyson could do something just because it's Mike Tyson, and we'll get to witness Mike Tyson fight once again. We'll watch
but
it.
look, did you see him fight Roy Jones?
Yeah, that was pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie, that was a really bad performance from both fighters. It
But I
was
feel
good
like-
to watch because I'm a fan of both of them.
But I feel like
it's
Tyson was holding back.
Oh
a
yeah,
lot,
he
bro.
was. Yeah, he was.
So if he wasn't holding back,
But wasn't that was a fight where you couldn't have declare a winner, right? But in this one, you can knock each other out,
I don't
right?
know about this one. I don't know the rules. I don't think they're talking about the rules. But look, this fight is going to be live on Netflix for the very first time in
Now
history.
that is interesting. That
Netflix
is very
is going to
interesting.
have a live event,
wicked.
and it's going to be boxing.
Yeah.
That's sick.
So
I'm
that's
excited.
crazy, isn't
I want
it?
to see it.
Yeah.
I want to see it. I would like.
Do you
to see
believe one day you could have a fight that's like this against
Jake Paul?
maybe not Jake Paul?
This is the closest you're going to get in,
Right.
in the sport that we love right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Is fighting rodtang, without a doubt.
I'm fighting Mike Tyson on the 7th.
You'd fight Mike
Yeah.
Tyson
Mike
next?
Tyson of Muay Thai, man.
Yeah, that's
pretty
true.
much.
You are.
Pretty much.
Pretty much
So-
are.
And
I'm
now
excited.
Rodtang's at the stage of his career where
Right.
Mike Tyson wasn't training either.
Talking about legends, and we touched on K1 a little bit. I want to touch on the fact that Buakaw is back into the K1 tournament of this year. Do you know that? Do you hear
So I
about
was
that?
talking to him today. Actually, we trained earlier this morning.
So Buakaw's training right now?
Yeah, he's training. Yeah, he's training. He said he has a fight next month in Rizin.
Okay. Wow, interesting.
That's an
And
exclusive.
That's the competition promotion as well.
yeah.
Yeah, so he's fighting there next month, and K1 did ask him to fight, but he was just like saying, like, I don't know. He was kind of saying, I don't know.
He's on the poster.
So
He's on the poster.
yeah. So I even seen Sasan after that, and he was saying that, K1 called. They wanted him to fight, and I was like, man, he should definitely.
That'd
at
be a
least
crazy boost.
Yeah.
In terms of promotion.
I mean, look, man, that's where I became a fan.
Yeah, I think we
of-
all
I mean, it would be a
Buakaw.
crazy boost for K1 though.
For sure.
Let's not
Yeah.
turn it around because Buakaw,
sure.
it doesn't matter where he fights. People. Are
I
gonna
think if
tune
the
in.
money is right, he'll do it.
Yeah. Do you
It's gotta
believe
be
that?
right.
So his past performance in Rise was pretty incredible. He fought at 74 kilos, won by knockout. How would you rate Buakaw right now? How would you rate his level right now?
Man, to me, he's always going to be a legend, right? There's just something. He's a special human being, man. That guy, bro.
Right.
Like the older he gets, he does not age. This freaking guy. Bro.
Right.
Like today, I seen him. He looked younger than last time I seen him. He's slim. He's like
Yeah.
good shape. Looks good on the bag.
So how would you
hitting
rate him?
pads. Man, there's just a lot of these.
He's talking,
Again,
about,
man.
he's talking about his chances. Let's
I'm
say that
talking
he's,
about-
let's say he's
I'm
in the tournament.
Yeah, I'm talking about, let's say you
I
do the
gotta
biggest.
see. I don't know who's in the tournament.
I don't know.
have-
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is that let's say you put a top 10 in kickboxing in the world at 70 kilos. Where do you put Buakaw in there? Put the best of the best right now.
At 70 kg
Yeah.
of kickboxing. Oh, not my area of expertise, but I'll put him in there just for the hell of it.
Definitely like top 10. He has to be a top 10, right? He's got to be one of those guys. But there's a lot of these young bucks coming up now, man.
Well, we know in one championship, don't we? We've got Gregorian, Chingiz Alazov is the champion, right?
Right.
City Chai, Superbon.
Yeah.
Are you asking the question, can he still hang with those guys?
Yeah.
Could he hang with those guys? Don't know. I
'Cause-
wouldn't bet against Buakaw, but that's a tough ask.
I think that for the past, I don't know, it seems like the past 10 years, people have been looking down on Buakaw and saying every single time, like, he's too old, he's not fighting good fighters, and whenever he does, people are like, nah, he's not going to do good, and then he outperforms every single time. And the older he gets and the more he surprises us. Like, look, he had a fight in Ratchamnan at 68 kilos. He hasn't done 68 kilos in the past
Yeah, that
25
was
years.
ridiculous.
He went down to 68 kilos. He fought against Nayanesh, who fought for the Ratchamnan title, and he completely
Dominated.
outclassed him.
And that guy's good.
Yeah.
He's good and
that
big.
boy is
Yeah.
good.
And that
He's
just
big.
right away, that's like, oh wow. So actually, Buakaw is still
Yeah,
in there.
I think
you
he
know?
can still hang with anybody.
And I think there was a question somewhere I read somebody saying that how a fight that would never happen because they've been training together. How would a fight of Buakaw against Superbon go?
It's difficult to answer that
Well,
one.
Yeah.
you're training. I'm
yeah, I
training Superbon.
trained with both of
how
them.
would
I
that go?
remember even like back like
Right.
like 2012.
You used to go to Banchamek Gym when it was in Bangkok, right?
Yeah. So I seen them spar, and Superbon is just, he's another special kid, man. He's so like talented, you know? That guy's full of talent. And I feel like if Superbon works hard, he can beat anybody in the world.
But you haven't answered my question, though. Right now,
fuck, man.
what would...
You're going to get me in trouble, man. Right? I'm going to go to Buakaw. He's going to punch me.
The reason why I'm asking this is because it's a fight
I feel like
that would never
Superbon
happen.
would win against Buakaw.
Based on you for
Yeah,
long?
right now. I mean, like,
I just feel like, because like I see them spar, I see when they work together, I feel like Superbon would come on top. That's just from what I see. But then
it's
again,
fine for you to answer that. You don't need to feel bad that you're answering this.
I feel bad because they're both my boys, man. These are my brothers, man. You know what I mean?
The reason why I'm putting this fight is because we both know that they both respect each other, and Superbon stated that he will fight anybody in the world except from Buakaw. So that's why it's just a funny, funny matchup.
That's his role model. That's his idol, and I would not fight my idol. You know?
Yeah, right.
But even if I knew I could beat him, I would. That's my idol, man.
But at the end of the day, for me, I do believe that it doesn't matter in which tournament.
Just to interrupt you.
Right.
I think Senshai and Buakaw were best friends, but then a truckload of money was dropped in front of them, and they decided to go at it. So
why not? If
somebody
was
going to
give me $1 million
to
to split with my best friend to fight,
hold up,
buddy, I will crush that guy.
All right, so idle talk out
put his
the
ass
window.
to sleep.
That's a great point. Now that you just mentioned that, so let's just say that at some point, Superbon stops fighting for whatever reason, after he's won his belts, whatever. If that matchup was to go down,
this guy keeps pushing.
He's prodding you. He's already answered, right?
I already asked you that, but I want to ask you
again. You want to ask me?
No, I want to ask.
No, of course. If they were at the same age, I would pick Buakaw. But because
of the
age difference, I go Superbon.
I would have to go with Buakaw.
Just
I disagree.
Yeah.
What I think is that it doesn't matter in which tournament you put Buakaw. It doesn't matter who you put in front of him. I would pick him over anybody else.
Including Chingiz, who's the current champion of one. You think he would beat him?
Oh, yes.
Wow.
I do. And listen, I love Chingiz.
I think there's going to be a lot of people online who are going to laugh at what you just said there.
And I think it doesn't matter because look, Buakaw went from, fighting at 70 kilos for his whole life, and he just proved the world that 25 years without jumping below 70 kilos, he did it. He fought at 68 kilos against one of the best Muay Thai fighter at 72 kilograms, Nayanesh.
He's not Superbon though, bro.
And then Buakaw went back up to 74 kilos, which he's never fought in his life. He went up to 74 kilos, fought one of the best Japanese fighters. He knocked him out after getting rocked badly. You put him against somebody like Superbon. It's kind of like the master against the apprentice. And it doesn't matter how much I love both of them, Like Superbon is my age, and we've been, friends for years. And Buakaw is obviously the GOAT. And I do believe that it doesn't matter whoever you put in front of Buakaw, he's gonna win, and he's been proving that for his whole career.
Yeah, I guess he's just got that dog in him too.
He's got that just something that's different,
Yeah,
and the older he gets, the better he gets somehow. Like how fighters when they lose.
We've noticed when he comes to Rajadan, he's so relaxed, so chill, and that's I think it's always the vibe of the best fighters is when they get in that ring. They look like they own the ring before the bells even rang.
So
and
true.
Buakaw owns it,
I think the way people saw Buakaw for a certain time is that, his physical abilities, the speed, the strength, and everything. Yeah. But then when, fighters get older and they kind of lose that, then you kind of question, how good how good are they? But then it feels like Buakaw has been able to adapt to him losing his speed and power, and it doesn't feel like he's not as good as before because his fighting style has changed, the way he clinches, the way he punches. I just feel like everything, he's just been getting better and better. That's just how I see it.
I'm a fan. Like you just said, going back to the K1 days, pretty much 20 years ago now. That's what got me in, watching K1 was the fact that I could see Buakaw fight. Cause I mean, visually as well, to see Buakaw, he's menacing. Right. Unlike the pre-days of social media, where you didn't know anything about anyone. It was all on how they look and how they competed, and he had both.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like, as soon as you saw him on the TV, you're like, Jesus, wow.
For
amazing,
sure.
You know?
And perhaps after Rodtang versus Deniz fight, the world will know about Deniz.
They will know. They will definitely.
Well, they know you already, I think.
Yeah, I
but even more
think
so.
Yeah, I just think that a lot of them they don't respect me, right? But
Anyone in particular you're talking about?
a lot of people, man. He's like, man, I'll open an app right now. You'll see people talking all kind of shit.
Right.
But that doesn't bother me, man.
Does that fuel you, or does it just not enter
Nah,
you?
man, it doesn't bother me
Okay.
at all. It doesn't do nothing to my emotions. Sometimes I sit there and I laugh at these things because they don't know, you know.
Yeah.
Another thing, a lot of people don't know me as well because I was stuck in China for 4 years, fighting in China and under Chinese promotion. And in China, they don't have YouTube, Google,
Yeah, it's
none
a
of that
different
stuff.
world there.
So
It's
they
like
have
their
their
own
own social
world, isn't
media
it?
stuff,
Yeah.
right? And man, I've been smoking guys over there for that whole time,
Right.
you know. And the only people that really knew is the people that follow me. You know, a lot of people around the world don't know because they only know UFC, and now they know one championship, or maybe Glory.
Right.
Glory doesn't have my weight class.
Yeah.
That's why I never fought there. They offered me a fight at 145, but that's just too big.
Yeah,
Or even at 135, sometimes the guys are bigger than me.
Right.
You know, so I think for that reason, a lot of people don't know me, and that's why maybe they don't respect me, which is fine. But come June 7th, I bet I will earn a lot of people's respect.
Well, and with that, I think it's a great way to end the podcast. It was a pleasure having you on the podcast, Deniz. I know, again, you're
Brother,
very
thank you
busy
so
right
much
now.
for having me. I
Yeah.
really appreciate you inviting me here, man. It's been a great talk. You know, you're a great guy. You know, we trained together at
Right.
Superbon as well.
Yeah.
So it's been a pleasure, man. Thank
Right,
you so
it's
much.
been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure again having you, Aaron. I know
Pleasure,
you're a
man.
little bit sick as well right now.
Probably
But
should.
yeah,
I'll be fine.
guys, this is the end of the podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast weekly episode. So make sure you stay tuned on every single updates that we have. Make sure you like this video and, you know, give us a little bit of a, you know, support for doing this. And we will see you next week. So thank you and see you guys. And this is it. We're
Right,
done.
Perfect.
Great job.
I like the bell, man.